and welcome back to FN White People, your friendly neighborhood white people. We're going to wrap up our conversation with Matt about punk music and gruesome tunes. Be sure to follow us and like us on all the social media places. We are everywhere. We are like herpes, and be sure to subscribe on all the podcast places. Again, we are everywhere. So we're going to hand it back over to myself, Harry, and Matt as we talk about music a little bit more, music and politics.
All right, let's switch gears here then a little bit. You got another podcast because we just talked about the Misplaced Punk Show, and we just went on about punk music, things like that. But you got another one, Dr.
Strigori's Gruesome Tunes.
Dr. Strigori's Gruesome Tunes. Now, what is that?
That is basically horror music. So horror punk, horror surf, anything that talks about horror metal, anything that has to do with horror music or horror movies, I play it.
So we're talking about like the Rob Zombies, the White Zombies.
Less popular though. Like
for those that may not know the underground bands and shit like that.
For Nashville, there's the Boo Dudes.
The who?
The Boo Dudes.
Never heard of them.
They're out of Nashville. They do the every once in a while they'll play at the 24-hour horror-thon in Nashville. They'll be the band that plays. They dress up like Wolfman and the Mummy, and they're more of a comedy horror.
We're talking about Universal Monsters. Oh shit! Yeah. For those that can't see, I'm holding up a collection I have of like the big little big heads, and I've got old school Universal Monsters.
Yes, they have a song called "Dracula Got A DUI."
Dracula Got A DUI.
Yes.
How the fuck would Dracula, like, is he drinking the blood of a fucking drunk homeless guy?
I guess so. It's just that kind of humor. Now there's the Boudette, so female versions of the Boodoos, because they're branching out. And they also have another band that's basically, it's still them, but they talk shit about the Boodoos, and the Boodoos talk shit about them. So all they do is change costume and then come back out. It's hilarious.
Would GWAR fit into this category?
Yeah, GWAR is almost like thrash, more kind of like, I mean, I've seen people call them punk. I don't know what the hell they are. They're insane. I love them.
God, what a racket.
Yeah.
I love GWAR.
I do too.
They definitely have some songs. It's like, holy fuck, what are you talking? Wait, what? They're talking about like.
The new song is Lot Lizard.
Lot Lizard?
Lot Lizard.
Now, the original lead singer of GWAR has died, correct?
Yes.
And they got a replacement.
Correct.
Because the original lead singer of GWAR, his outfit, like that dick that he wore.
Oh yeah.
Oh god. Like, and GWAR is what they call it, intergalactic
like supervillains who come
barbarians.
Yeah, I think it's intergalactic barbarians is what they call them.
And their show is like, if you go to a live show, you're guaranteed to fucking have fake blood and semen and all this other shit just dropped on you. You definitely want to wear a raincoat. And it's like going into a Gallagher fucking show.
If you're lucky, they'll pull you up on stage and feed you to the monster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I've seen those videos, and I'm like, I would love to go to a GWAR concert, but I definitely want to sit in the back.
No, I want to sit up front. I want to go wearing a white shirt and just get covered in fake blood.
Yeah.
I just have a.
Well, I don't know, because like I don't want to be also drawn into the pit.
We figured a lot of them are getting our age now, a lot of fans, so I don't know if the pit would be that scary anymore.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, a lot of walkers and whatnot in that
we're all getting old, so.
Monster down, monster down.
Yeah, I can definitely be like, hang on a second. Pick them up. I don't need a insurance claim here. I don't need somebody calling Aflac.
Yeah, then there's the bands who kind of have mimicked them. Like there's the one that's, what is it, Max Abbath?
I have heard of Max Abbath.
Oh my God. There's a video where they introduce Max Abbath to Ozzy. They don't tell him. They sit him down. They're like, we got something we're going to show you. Yeah, oh, okay. And they turn around, and his eyes get real big. He loved it.
Goddamn Grimace.
Yes.
And the fucking Hamburglar and shit.
It's hilarious.
It's like Oakley Dokley.
They're hilarious. They're great.
They're all dressed as Ned Flanders from The Simpsons and shit.
All the songs are Ned Flanders quotes.
Yes. Jason and Aaron, a couple of they went to go see Oakley Dokley, and like when they told me, I was like, I am so fucking jealous. I would love to go see them. Now, are there any popular bands that fit into the gruesome tunes that you like, mainstream bands? And I don't want to really give him any kind of like shout out or anything because he's a rapist piece of shit. But like Manson,
No, wouldn't never play him.
yeah, because he's a piece of shit.
He's more shock rock than horror. Back
So when you say horror, so it's definitely like
in the veins of Misfits, old school Misfits.
okay.
Like I have a whole compilation where I play from there, where it's all bands from South America who cover the Misfits. It's fantastic.
What is this band's name?
Oh no, it's a whole bunch of bands.
Oh, okay.
It's a compilation.
What are some of the bands from like the horror, like the gruesome tunes and things out there that you would?
One of my favorites, and I became friends with them, is Rebel Flesh. They're from Austin, Texas.
Rebel Flesh.
Rebel Flesh.
Is that like a shout out to Billy Idol?
Probably, but I mean, like my favorite song is called "Family Business," which is about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay.
Sister from Texas, and one of them actually worked at the gas station. It's now like a little B&B, and he's like literally he turns his camera, showed me turning around. There's nothing. It's like we're literally in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, it is so amazing that a member of a horror punk band is working at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre gas station.
And Texas Chainsaw Massacre is based on Ed Gein, right?
Right.
Who really wasn't a serial killer. He
No.
just
Ed Gein wasn't a serial killer. Like, well, he
killed
probably
two
was a
people.
serial killer. He probably was a serial killer, but we can't prove it.
But he was more.
We know
Dig
that
up
he
dead
was
bodies and
we know that he was a
bunker.
necrophile.
yes.
And that he took the bodies that he unburied and used them to decorate his home after his mother passed.
And basically become his mother.
Yes.
Which is where we got Psycho from.
Yeah.
Which is where we got Psycho from. Ed Gein has inspired a lot in pop culture. Yeah, that's like I don't
Buffalo
love Ed
Bill?
Gein in the sense that like he's obviously a very deserved person, but I love Ed Gein in the fact that I'm like a psychology is my bread and butter, and Ed Gein is just like fucking fascinating.
Well, if you think about it, like in a weird kind of sadistic way, Jeffrey Dahmer was kind of woke in the sense that he loved eating black people.
Oh my god!
Well, he was friendly to his neighbors.
He was definitely friendly to his neighbors
The
too.
best is there's the
Except that
interview.
one neighbor who complained about the smell coming from his house.
But there's another neighbor who's like, he was so friendly, he often cooked and shared food with us. And the reporter stared at her, and then you see it slowly dawn on her. Oh my God.
I ate people.
Oh my God. You think No. Guy's like, so on to the next person.
Yeah,
I remember when that shit fucking happened.
I do too. It was definitely.
I remember sitting in front of the TV going like, oh my fucking God, he
this is
ate
like
people.
A horror movie in real life, which is also a band called The Dahmers. I do play them. They're a great band.
All right, so your top 5 gruesome tunes bands.
Robo Flesh, The Dahmers, Los Morts. They're from Brazil. They're a great band.
Los Morts and Los Mortes.
Los Morts and
Los
Mortiet.
Okay.
They're more of a kind of delve into like the cross between metal, thrash, and punk, but they're really great. Oh man, there's so many. My mind's going blank right now. But any of the ones that did any of the Misfits covers, that whole compilation is go on Bandcamp. It's fantastic.
Would you consider Danzig in that genre?
Yeah.
What about Typo Negative?
Remember more. I don't know, more industrial. I play more bands that have, which I don't play Danzig, but I play more bands that have more of like talk about serial killers and horror movies and that kind of stuff.
All right.
Actually, the cover photo I used for my last episode actually was Ed Gein.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw
I saw
that.
that because I was actually very confused for a moment because we were talking about this, preparing for this episode. I was like, well, I know he's got the Misplaced Punk Show, right? And I was like, he's got another one. I think it's about horror. And then I pulled it up and I was like, well, that's a picture of Ed Gein. I think maybe it's about like true horror. And then I was like, no, it's called gruesome. Oh, it's about, I don't know what it's about.
It's filler from in between Monster Maniacs episodes because my friend's a director. He's working on his movie Batshit, so he's been kind of busy working on it, trying to get into movie festivals and all that kind of stuff. So,
What's your friend's name?
Todd Killer Wolfson.
Okay.
What a name.
Yes.
Is that his real name?
Well, Todd Wolfson.
Okay.
Is yes.
Wolfson. Damn it. And I'm over here plagued with Davis as my last name.
Yeah, me too, but worse. I chose it.
I mean, fuck you. Davis is apparently not even like, because coming from the English part of it, it's not even a trades name. So
No, it's an English name. It's a very fucking English name, and I, as a proud Irishman,
91% according to 23andMe.
I, as a proud Irishman, married a fucking Englishman.
Well, you're not an Irishman. You're an Irish woman.
Whatever.
Come on, diversity, baby.
Which is why I said Irishman.
Well, if you're English, though, you consider us part of the UK.
Yeah, but I'm Irish. You people like.
No.
I'm Irish.
No, spin it, Matt.
I am Irish, so I'm just saying.
Like, how Irish are you? Are you like Irish, or are you like?
My great grandparents came from Cork.
Have you ever done 23andMe?
Yes.
Like,
I went my own way. I found like the papers when they left and the papers where they first signed in when they came to America.
So Cork County.
Cork County.
Is that northern or southern or middle Irish?
It's southeast.
Okay, so Northern Ireland is the very much
British. They might as well be British.
I thought it was actually quite the opposite, but I guess I'm wrong.
They kind of, a lot of them consider themselves still part of the English.
The UK, as it
Yeah.
were. Okay. I mean,
you said Cork County, and for some reason that sounds familiar.
Or County Cork is also how it's put in there because we're drunk. Apparently, when we put it in there, we put it in.
I mean, you're Irish.
I always say that's how I can drink more than normal people. My Irish blood.
I can drink more because I'm English, German, Scandinavian.
We actually make the best beer in the first place, German.
According to Micah, our German friend, the region I'm from, Bavaria, is not actually considered German.
The Bavarians?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when I told her, I did the 23andMe and I was like, yeah, I'm 33% German. But, it puts me in the Bavarian region. She's like, yeah, no, that's not really Germany. And I'm like, oh, okay. Really? Okay. But she was, born in Germany and shit like that. But lest we forget, Germany didn't actually become a state or country until fucking
True.
World War fucking 2 or just before. So joke's on you. But yeah, Bavarian beer is the prime fucking beer.
When you look at a beer and it says there's 4 ingredients.
Yeah.
That's perfection.
Hops, barley, water, and depression.
I just think it would be interesting. Like, so you're Irish on one side of your family or both sides of your family?
I have mostly on my dad's side, but I have a little bit on my mom's side. My dad's side is Irish, French, and then some Native American.
What's weird is like, I don't understand how I'm 91% Irish because I can't trace my family back to Ireland.
It's a lot of inbreeding.
So it probably is a lot of inbreeding. It's also like, because I've tried. I can trace my family to... I can trace one side of my family to Ireland. I can. I did that. I succeeded in that. But I'm like 91% Irish, which means both sides of my family have to be fucking Irish.
Right. I would assume.
So my guess is this, and like the Irish weren't very, until a certain point, keen on keeping notes because Ireland was basically the takeover of the Vikings.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm only 90% Irish now, according to 23andMe.
Well, oh my God, you're still fucking incredibly inbred.
Like if you believe, I don't know if you've heard Jim Gaffigan, his bit where according to, why they think that the Irish have blonde and red hair is because the Vikings came over and pillaged and plundered and as you put other stuff and spread their seed amongst the Irish. Like that would explain why we're all blondes and redheads apparently in my family.
Well, the Northmen, when the Vikings tried to invade England and shit like that, and the English were like, hey, we got a better idea. Why don't you guys just take this land and, you can farm and do whatever it was Ireland.
Right.
And so the Scandinavians and whatnot came over and they just kind of became Irish. And then they took up and kind of stayed in the northern parts of the Isle and just like that's where they were until they spread out and they intermingled with the English and the French came along and were like, hey, we want part of this land too. Be like, oh, you're gonna have to fuck or fight. Either way, we're getting naked. And the French were like, oh, we getting naked? Like, oui. We what? Oui. You want to see my? All right, mine's bigger than yours, motherfucker. But I think the Irish are very much a and I guess it's the British and the German in me, a mutt breed, but I'm more mutt than you.
Oh yeah, I think it's just racism on my family's part. Like, I think there's just a lot of racism. Like, we were. I think my great grandparents came over from Ireland, or my great grandparents came over from Ireland, and I think that it was just like you're only allowed to date and marry like other Irish kids, and then that just became led to a lot of, you know.
A lot of gingers.
No, actually, like, there's red highlights, but most of us have brown hair and blue eyes, but we were freckled as fuck.
That's what we do. We freckle and we burn.
Like, I have freckles year round. Like, it's not even a thing. Like, it's just I always have freckles. Like,
Yeah,
they're
I
just
tan.
part of my skin.
I tan. I burn, but then I tan.
And then in the summer, it's like, whew,
Yeah.
connect the dots.
I burn, become pale again, burn again.
Yes.
I can burn my head.
That's what I do.
If I don't wear a hat out when I mow, now I don't know how many times I burn my head, I'll burn my head again.
I've got, for those that can't see, but like I wear a big floppy hat when I mow. I'll take off my shirt, but I wear a big floppy hat when I mow because I don't want the top of this motherfucker to get burned because it sucks.
I've done it. Yes, it hurts. Very painful.
You and I are both of the follically challenged
Yes.
when it comes to the top of our heads. The rest of us, the rest of our body, I'm sure, is just like
a woolly mammoth. Yeah.
we wish it would have just fucking stayed on top. But I've got like, and you guys can see like I basically what they would call liver spots on top of my head. Like I try to keep that at bay, but
So it's not liver spots. It's just,
I've got tan spots.
it's freckling. You freckle on the top of your head.
And the 23andMe, they're like when they say like, you know, I am predominantly English, but there is like some like samples of Irish. Like I think because I'm such a mutt, there's a lot of not incest but rape happening because we love to pillage and rape. I mean the Scandinavians, the Germans, fuck. The English, that's what we did. Fuck. We just went in and just said, you're either gonna fuck or fight, but either way, you're gonna die or you're gonna have our babies.
Or as Eddie Izzard would say, they came over, plant a flag. Ours now.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Yes, it is. Do you have a flag? Then it's ours. We have a flag. This is our territory.
Yeah. That's why the Africans are like, but
Nope, flag.
But damn it, we were here first. Flag.
India, the same thing.
Yeah.
And we're going to make you talk with a weird English accent.
Yeah. That we can't understand. But
Yep.
once again, off topic.
As always.
So Gruesome Tunes. And then you have a third podcast, and it's just what is the third podcast?
Well, it's kind of what Gruesome Tunes is kind of morphed into now. It's kind of part of Monster Maniacs, where me and Killer Wilson basically just we'll pick a horror movie of the week and we'll just talk about it. Or we've interviewed a couple celebrities, so it's
Now, Horror Maniacs is like less music driven and more movie driven.
it's completely movie driven.
Okay.
Even though a lot of movies in the 80s were very punk, like None of the Living Dead. I mean, Return of the Living Dead had punks in it. A lot of the 80s movies had punk soundtracks, so
You know what? And you might be surprised by this, but you know what kind of movie that is very much punk and you may not realize it until I say it? A Bug's Life.
I still don't say it.
Yeah, no, explain.
Yeah, please.
The whole, well, may not be as punk, but definitely anti-slavery with the ants having to answer to the grasshoppers until the ants realize they outnumber the grasshoppers.
To me, it's almost like a Magnificent Seven type thing.
I guess I never paid attention to A Bug's Life. Like,
So A Bug's Life, the ants have to do all the work and everything that the ants have to do, but then also have to make sure that the grasshoppers are, taken care of as well, so that the grasshoppers don't come in and kill or do whatever it is that the grasshoppers do to the ants until the ants wake up and make the grasshoppers realize you only survive because of us. It is definitely once you get into A Bug's Life and you realize that it's based off slavery
Or capitalism.
both,
Rich
which
cannot survive
fucking
without
capitalism, and I'm not taking, right now with my statement, I am not taking away the atrocities of slavery and all that shit. But the way we operate today and how we use the dollar, which is just a fucking piece of paper, linen or whatnot, that sedates us into cooperating with the corporations. We live in a modern day slavery. You have to use your labor to ensure that those in power don't destroy you.
which is a topic for a whole different podcast.
And it is.
Yes.
But
Like-
it's also very punk.
I'm not going to argue that it's not. Matt can argue that it's not, but I'm not going to argue that it's not. But yeah, that's a big.
No, there's this whole like thread in like.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that's a big topic.
That. Yeah, I'm not gonna unleash that fucking
Disney in the same category ever as punk.
I think like once Walt himself like died, because Walt can actually be tied to unless like what I read is false.
We know he was anti-Semitic for sure.
But I was about to say unless what I've read is false, but I doubt it is. But Walt himself was kind of tied to Nazi gold and shit.
I don't know about Nazi gold. I know he was anti-Semitic.
I'm
not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't know about the Nazi gold. I know that he was anti-Semitic.
I have found a couple pieces that have led, Mr. Walt Disney to Nazi gold and shit.
Well, that's true. That's fucked up. But then again, being anti-Semitic is fucked up.
Yes. I think once old Mr. Disney died, like those that took over power definitely started pushing a different message, because before he died, there was the whole, it was very much a, if you're looking at the animal based movies like Bambi and Dumbo and shit like that, a young male figure loses his mother and then has to deal with the struggle of that.
Right.
And then,
Plus Disney had a lot of racism and everything when he was in charge, like in everything. It's scary. Look back so much. There's YouTube channels that are just dedicated to how fucked up was our childhood.
Yeah. Like the whole tale of Little Mermaid, like the original Little Mermaid, like she was green to begin with the whole time. And once she got her legs, once she was on land walking, her legs always bled, and like the whole Prince Charming thing.
But that goes past our childhood. That goes to the origins of
he took the grim fairy tales and whitewashed the fuck out of them.
We did.
And then like Sleeping Beauty and Snow White and Cinderella, it was always a damsel in distress, and here comes Prince Charming to save the day.
Which is why new Disney is so much better than old Disney, because now we have like Brave and Frozen, which are so much better. When you look at the storyline of Brave or Frozen, it's a lot better than like the history of
Encanto or Soul.
Well, Pixar in general is better than Disney.
I think. Well, Pixar might also be like quote unquote the woke version of Disney.
Right.
Even though apparently Toy Story was actually based off a story that somebody else has written about him walking in and thinking that his toys were...
There's a couple of stories that they've brought up recently that's like, whoa, that's almost word for word what happened.
Yeah.
Kind of...
I think Disney is notorious for like taking shit and just like, making it their own. It's the, appropriation and shit to just make a buck.
All those stories are from movies, I should say, are from books and stories, and probably anything's original to Disney. Peter Pan, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. I can't think of any that are the Jungle Book. They're all old books and stories. None of them are.
Bambi, maybe.
Maybe.
But even still, fucking Bambi? Holy fuck. That was like...
our childhood was fucked up. If you grew up in the 70s, 80s, your childhood was fucked up.
Fantasia, some of the racist shit in that blew my mind. I don't remember this.
Yeah, but
Hold on. I remember Fantasia, but I don't remember Fantasia. What was racist about it?
There's when they have the, we call it like half people, half deer or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of females, and then there's a little female that trots up, and it is blackface. Like she has the pigtails, the big lips, the everything.
Oh my God, really?
Fuck, I do not remember this part at all. Wow.
Like old school Looney Tunes.
Yes.
Oh, old school Looney Tunes was racist as fuck.
Me and Rob, we went to, my buddy Rob, we went to Walmart one time when we were digging through the DVD bin, $3 for a fucking DVD. And we found old school Looney Tunes DVD, and we're like, fuck it, let's watch it. And they had kind of remastered it, and it started off with a disclaimer that said, these were different times. And we're like, what the fuck? And then, it started playing, and we're like, holy shit.
This isn't Fantasia.
All right, let me see that.
Holy Holy shit! That is straight up the half deer creature thing.
Oh yeah. No, what he's showing is definitely. It's like
there's a word. It's got the whole
the Minotaur kind of with. Holy fuck. And it is servicing, like, the little deer creature is definitely a dark-skinned.
It's got that minstrel face going on.
Yeah.
Like that overly dramatized, like racist as fuck depiction.
And once again, it's one of those, like, when we watch that DVD that, a disclaimer that said this was a different time. And when Rob and I were watching this shit, we're like, holy fuck, this is, racist as fuck, because the black people depicted obviously dark skin, bones in their noses and shit,
right.
big lips and everything. And it's like, what the fuck? Now, I will say it did not stop us from laughing, because once we were like, all right, yeah, this was definitely a different time, and that shit's racist as fuck. It's still funny as shit, though. And I know, like, the both of you are just kind of like, just went serious. I mean, like, what?
Where's he going with this?
And I'm not saying, like, that shit is, okay.
Yeah.
But
it's not okay. We live
once you put
times.
a couple potheads and be like, oh shit, okay, this shit is racist as fuck. All right, it was a different time, but Marvin the Martian and shit, come on. I mean, Bugs Bunny was trans as fuck.
At times, yeah.
I always think of the opera one.
Yes.
Bugs basically seduces Elmer Fudd.
Yes.
Yes.
Bugs Bunny was trans as fuck. Bugs Bunny was gender fluid.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that might have been a little kind of letting into we're going to go in this direction. We're going to start introducing these things that makes it okay.
It was also kind of like they brought back like the Shakespearean thing where males put on dresses because women were not allowed to perform. So it's the same thought process, I always thought.
Yeah. When they put on Shakespeare's plays, it was...
Also, they're cheap.
You could not.
Another character. Let's put a dress on Bugs. There you go. New character.
Yeah. You couldn't have women on stage and shit because, I mean, women couldn't perform and whatnot. And I think that kind of opened the doors and gates. Like, they inadvertently opened the doors, or some might have done it to purposely open the doors. Because if you look at Mel Blanc, the voice of Bugs and shit, he definitely opened the doors for, like, certain characters to be okay with the trans, Bugs, the gender fluid Bugs and shit like that. Because he had no problem with performing that way.
Right.
So to kind of get back to the whole punk thing.
Okay.
Do you think that punk has transcended beyond music?
I think it started off that way. Started off as an attitude.
So can you think of anything that is not music that you would consider punk?
Banksy.
What?
Banksy.
What is it?
Okay.
The graffiti artist.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I consider
like
that
once
very
you
punk. There's certain directors I consider very punk 'cause they kind of do it their own way. They don't go like they have.
They're very anti-establishment and shit.
I consider at the beginning Clerks would have been very punk because they kind of did it themselves. They financed it himself. He sold his own comic books.
Like, kind of, to
sold
fund
all our
this.
comic books to fund.
Yeah, to fund this, we sold all of our all except for our graded, and whatnot. But we sold all of our comic books and shit like that to get this going and whatnot. Our equipment that we have right now.
Another podcast.
Yeah, our D&D podcast, our buddy Drew, he helped us getting shit like that. But do you see kind of any kind of punk movement in like the movies or TV shows?
I wouldn't say currently. Can't think of too many.
Well, I kind of can.
Okay.
When and you may disagree with me, but I think there are certain Disney movies that have kind of went punk and anti-establishment, like with the whole, like she was talking about earlier with Brave, or the fact that when they did the newest Little Mermaid, it was a black girl that played fucking Ariel.
Actual singer too, though.
An actual singer. And even though it is getting shit on, the new Snow White and Seven Dwarfs.
Is it getting shit on?
It is absolutely getting fucking toasted.
For quite a few different reasons too.
For why?
And
One is the CGI dwarves.
Yeah, they're not using little people.
They're using CGI dwarves.
Yes.
They look goofy as fuck. They look like a cartoon with like real people.
Yeah, but like
goofy.
the only thing that is possibly
But it's supposed to
anti-establishment
be live action. Why not just use like Peter Dinklage?
and Brad Williams and
yeah, like I was gonna name others, but yeah, Peter Dinklage and
like
his people.
just fucking go with, you know, Oompa Loompas and the Lollipop Gill and shit like that. Well, I think it's because, you know, it's cheaper to just do fucking CGI than to pay a bunch of little people.
Yeah, but apparently, according to what you guys are saying, it looks fucking stupid.
Yeah, I haven't.
Well, I mean, the pictures I've seen, they look goofy.
Yeah, they do. But the person who plays Snow White is not like Snow White. She is not pale at all. She's not what you would like in old school consider the fairest of them all.
Isn't she?
Okay.
I think she's like Central or South American.
Yeah, I believe so.
Like, yeah, she is not.
I've never heard of her before, so I can't really.
She is not one. You know, you can imagine. Even though Snow White in the fucking old school had black hair but very pale skin,
She's
and
supposed
the
to
only
have black hair and very pale skin. Yes.
yeah, but the only way you're gonna have black hair and that pale of skin is if you have, you know, genetics from a group of people who are not from Europe, because Europeans don't have black hair unless you're Spanish
Or Italian.
or Italian. But white people, we've had this conversation before. White people, they just consider the Spanish, in America anyways, the Spanish and the Italians as, you know, passable white.
Like they did the Irish at one point.
Like they did the Irish, yeah, during the 16th century or 17th century, when they were like, hey, if you stop fight with the Africans, we'll give you the status of whiteness, which will, you know, lead to the opportunities, even though we're going to put up barricades in front of you. Just stop fighting with the Africans to free the slaves. Fucking goddamn.
And my people bought it hook, line, and goddamn sinker.
Yeah, because they probably also waved whiskey in front of your face.
I mean, probably that sounds
Yeah,
accurate.
but then if we spoke up, then they shipped us off to Australia.
Oh, they were shipping fucking the Irish off to Australia before they were shipping them off to... Well, hell, I think they were shipping them off to Australia before they were shipping them off to the colonies.
Probably. Well, yeah, I mean, that was just one giant penal colony.
Yeah, and they were shipping, like, until the Puritans and whatnot came over here, the British, the rich British fuckers were shipping all their damn political prisoners and shit to the colonies. Yeah, people don't realize and understand that America was just a dumping point for rich British people who didn't like other people whom they didn't agree with, until the Puritans were like, we're going to go over there because we don't like the way you're doing things over here. And they were like,
I think they were kicked. They were pretty much asked to leave. Like,
yeah, the Catholics were like, get the fuck out of here. Well, the Protestants, not the Catholics, because the fucking Catholics at that point were also kind of persecuted by the fucking rich ass Protestants and shit. And they're like, yeah, no, just fuck off.
So speaking of Australia, do you want to hear the stupidest thing that I ever heard? So someone was talking to someone who was a indigenous person from Australia, and this person said, "I'm from Australia, like I'm an indigenous person of Australia." And the person talking to this indigenous individual said, "Well, that's not possible. You have brown skin, and Australia didn't have anybody on it until the British found it and put all their you know, their criminals there."
I'm gonna guess this was an American.
It was an American who said this shit. Yes.
Sounds like it.
I was like, that is...
Have you
What?
never heard of the Aborigines?
They had never heard of the Aborigines. They thought that there was nobody on Australia until the British found it and put all their fucking criminals there.
Yeah, they don't understand that the fucking Aborigines are the ones that are responsible for killing all the goddamn giant sloths and all a bunch of shit on Australia and whatnot. Because the original people in fucking Australia, they were our size until they had to shrink down until, yeah, because the Aborigines, like the ones that we were able to observe, were a lot smaller than us, only because like the food source become very fucking scarce once they got, you know, and started, you know, oh shit, there's a bunch of giant animals here we can eat, and we're just gonna, you know, eat and eat and eat. And then all of a sudden the food source became very, very fucking scarce, and they evolved into a smaller people. Like this is a different topic, but I've been reading a book or listening to a book called Sapiens.
Okay.
And the basically evolution of humans and whatnot. And at one point in time, less than 15,000 years ago, there was 5 different species of humans. I don't like to say race, only because race was created in this country in the 1600s to help people justify slavery.
Right.
Because as Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson and a bunch of scientists will say, there's no such thing as race. It's a sociological concept created by a bunch of rich, light-skinned motherfuckers to maintain power and justify slavery.
Right. There's just species.
We're all just species.
Right.
And it's another reason why I'm not mad at Dungeons and Dragons changing their terminology from, different races to different species. Even though a bunch of people are like up in arms about, different races in D&D. Like, no, they changed it from races to species because that's scientifically speaking, that's more accurately.
Right. Lizard people and humans are not different race, they're different species.
Yeah, because race is a fucking social concept created by a bunch of rich motherfuckers to justify fucking slavery.
So, I like to fact check things in real time. So the whole smaller Aboriginal peoples is actually a myth.
Is it?
Yeah, they were average human size. They were not.
Well, at some point,
The Australian Museum of Australia says average human size.
weren't the average human size overall shorter at one point?
I mean, that could be true, but I'm just saying, I just want to make that point.
Because the average
they weren't pygmies is what I'm saying.
I never said they were pygmies.
I know you didn't say they were pygmies, but if there are going to be people in the comments who are like, they weren't pygmies, and I just want to make sure that we're pointing that out, that they were not pygmies.
Because pygmy people are fucking 4 feet tall, 3 feet tall, and shit like that. I am corrected. I apologize.
Yeah, I don't know. This is all fascinating to me. I didn't know any of this. So.
Well, given I would guess say that given the time for evolution to take place, then
yeah, I'm only thinking of what I've seen of Aboriginal people today. They're average.
I don't think there are any Aboriginal people really left.
Oh yeah, no, there are.
Yeah,
there are lots of.
Well, the Australians slaughtered the fuck out of them.
There's a show that I used to watch.
I mean,
God damn it, I can't remember the name of it, but it's about a prison in Australia.
I know
one of the characters is an Aboriginal person, and she plays an Aboriginal person. And
I know Hugh Jackman and Nicole Kidman. I think it was Nicole Kidman. They made a movie about the basically British takeover of Australia and the Aboriginal people. And Hugh Jackman was just there's a lot of shit I didn't know because I think he's from fucking New Zealand or Australia and shit. And he was just holy fuck.
I mean, don't get those two confused because we will have people very angry with us in New Zealand and Australia.
Yes, he is not. I don't believe he's Kiwi at all.
Yeah, but the Aborigines, they're New Zealand, Australia. What the fuck? No, I don't give a fuck. It's when you talk about the Inuits and shit from North America and whatnot.
Yeah, they don't consider themselves Canadian or.
Yeah, no, but don't call them Indians and shit.
Well, I've had people who
are still here.
I've had people who were what we would term Native American who were upset with the term Native American and upset with the term Indian, and they would prefer to be called by their family's tribal. Yeah.
It's because we
they're
monolith.
We're not all one monolith. We're Native Americans. There was no America then. We were different nation tribes.
But they also don't say natives because
don't call
they're
us Indians because we're nowhere near fucking India.
Well, the time that Columbus had called the people over here Indians, they weren't actually talking about the country of India because, and I've looked this up, when he was talking about India, he was talking Indios, God of the people of God and whatnot, and, very calm, very liberal, very, in his letter, he was talking about, they were very giving and whatnot, and it ended with, give me 50 people and we can enslave them all.
Right.
We can subjugate them all. But during that time, India itself wasn't called India. It was called Bharat or something else. And it later become India because he then went to India and was like, oh yeah, you guys are like those Indios people, the India people that I found in this other land. And then that's where fucking white people came up with the whole dots versus feathers. And
that's actually came up in the conversation. So in our first episode, we talked about the dire wolves and whatnot, and the family that I babysat for. And the guy was what we would term a Native American, typically in this country, what you would call a Native American. I can't remember what tribe he was from because I was fucking 16. It was a long fucking time ago. I don't remember. But the reason he said he didn't want to be called an Indian is he's like, there's a whole country now called India. He's like, and I'm tired of being asked when I say that I'm Indian if I'm dot or feather. He's like, because I shouldn't. Like, he's like, that's the most fucking ridiculous thing to ask a person if they are dot or fucking feather. So just don't call me Indian. He's like, and I'm not a Native American. He's like, there was no fucking America. Like, fuck off with that shit.
Yeah, and the only natives are from Africa because we're all native from Africa.
We're
indigenous.
We all know your thoughts on the word native.
Yeah, and even Ann Davids, she will agree with me because she made a post in Facebook and shit. We're not, indigenous people are not a monolith, and yeah. No, it's a whole different topic and shit, but
yes,
I guess that's where we're gonna wrap it up.
And with that, thank you for listening. Be sure to follow us on all the podcast places and all the social media places because we're fucking everywhere like herpes.
And also check out the Misplaced Punk Show. Check out Dr. Strigori's.
Might as well just go to Monster Maniacs. You'll find Dr. Strigori's on that same thread. So. It's just part of it.
Monster Maniacs, and you can find them where?
Pretty much any podcast, Apple Podcast, Podcast Addicts, any place that has podcasts.
Yeah. But once again, thanks for listening, everybody. Love you. Good night.